All right. Hey, thank you guys for coming. This is Scott and the two Codys. It is God Talk Go time, and we are here with Serve with Purpose podcast. Wow, I got that out. It was like dragging. It's like pulling a car. It's like, oh my god. Hey, how you guys, Cody? How you Codys doing?
I go first, not you. I go first. I just turned my mic on. I kind of forgot to turn it on.
See, that's where I was going with it too. Scott just didn't want us to talk.
You know what would have been really funny if we would have left ours off and then been like talking the whole time, and Scott his was the only one on. That would have been pretty good.
It would have been good because then we'd have said, "Hey, that was a great 40 minutes. Guess what we have to do for 40 minutes again." The podcast.
Yeah, it would have been very fun. But I got a lot going on. Kind of got a lot of stuff going on in the family, and a lot of heavy burdens, I guess. But we'll talk about it more, I think, as we go throughout, and we'll use some real life application.
Good. Yeah, and I noticed you've been working in that trailer, so you guys got a lot.
Yeah, you seen it this morning. Yeah, we got the ceiling. Yeah,
it looked like an episode of.
You know, it was really funny.
Hey, Grandpa!
I seen Scott driving over, and I was in the back bedroom looking out the window, and I seen him driving over, and I was like, "Hey." And so he's like on the four-wheeler, just like whipping around, looking. He's like looking everywhere, like
my hair voices again.
Yeah. And so I was like,
beds aren't working.
I was like, voices. And so finally, he looked around for a while and finally found where I was. But it was pretty funny watching him. He looked like a squirrel. It was like a squirrel just like whipping around.
Well, I know apparently he's not at the house anymore, the trailer. He must be somewhere else.
Yeah. We got the ceiling hung up, though. So that's pretty good. I would just got to get the rest of the walls hung up, floor done, and get the bathroom done, and be ready to move into.
Good.
Yeah. My week's been pretty busy, just working a lot, and then we played in 2 volleyball tournaments. Been enjoying the nice weather, and like I said, spending time with the family. That's been about it.
Yeah, you know what I love about volleyball is those touchdowns. Those are the best part.
Mm-hmm. 7 points.
Yeah, 7 points for the
spike.
For the spike, yeah.
But you can't do it without your teammates. That's the big thing.
You can't. Anyway, so
I finished softball this week. We're done. Out of the tournament. We lost overtime in the tournament. Yeah, we got 4th place.
Now, who's we? You play on a
softball team.
Okay.
Church League.
Okay.
Yeah, but we lost in overtime. It was a pretty crazy game, though, because it was like 30-something runs to 30-something runs.
That's crazy for softball.
Yeah, it was a lot. I hit an over-the-fence home run.
Nice.
Yeah. Hallelujah. Church League home runs.
Yeah, I hit one over the fence once, but the fence was laying down in front of me, and I just hit it over the thing.
Yeah.
We told him to quit hitting from the outfield and facing the fence.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Yeah, so I got up early today. I had a friend of mine that comes, that goes to my church. My tractor's down, so he says, I'll bring my tractor over. And so he come out bright and early. I forgot how these old dogs like to get up. And he got up, and I said, hey, let's come on in. It's like before 8. Come on, let's have breakfast. I already had breakfast. I've been up for a while. I'm tired. So... yeah, so he's out there working circles around me. So I thought, okay, I better come in and sit down. So let's take our time in here. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so he's helping us out, and he's helping us out there. The horses were following him around. You see him the horses out there following him around, like, hey, who are you? He's like looking around. Okay. But anyway, but yeah, things are going well. I think we have, I think we are in. I think we're in a spot. Our media has kind of picked up. We've seen a lot of things. Picked up with just running with this whole gamut with elections and this COVID-19 and just so many things going on. And I think it makes it really hard for people to focus. And so I think. I think one of the things that really stays on my mind, I think, is the fact how are people dealing with those things around us. We've talked about this a few times because we try to stay in what's going on in the world today, right? But so what have you guys seen? What have you guys seen out there in other people, the people you work with, in your neighbors? What kind of struggles have you seen them going through, whether it be, politically unrest, whether it be the COVID?
Well, I'll tell you, my neighbor is completely senile. Completely. I mean, this guy, I tell you what, it's afternoon and he has a big old cup of coffee and he just like, who are you?
Who are you? You got to say it right.
Yeah, I can't do it like you can. I mean, hypothetically, the neighbor. But I really don't know anything that's going on because I don't have any social media still. So in case you guys are joining us now in the podcast and weren't here earlier last season or whatever, I don't have social media, and I still don't have social media. I still have no idea what's going on in the world.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah. I kind of keep up on some news I try to keep an eye on Israel and Jerusalem and what's going on over there a little bit. But all this news we got going on in the U.S. is, in my opinion, it is 99.9% just total garbage and not worth my time whatsoever. And I live a much more peaceful, tranquil life, not having to listen to everybody's opinions. They're garbage, trash news that's half lies anyways. So
what about the other half? You thought about those?
Yeah, that's ignorance. Lies and ignorance. So
we're all about love here at the Service Purpose.
Except for maybe when it comes to news articles that are causing a lot of stress. But you guys you guys have Facebook, you guys listen to news and stuff. I
don't listen to news anymore.
I'm pretty sure your wife,
my wife listens to news all the time. Yeah, she stays up when she can handle it. I can't deal with it. I get myself too wrapped. I have this addiction part of me that wants to jump both feet in it and then want to get involved in it, and then next thing you know, I'm just worked up and stressed, and then my hair will start turning gray.
That's the area I struggle with. I get emotionally invested into conversations that but at the end of it, there's no resolution. The person you're arguing with isn't, they're pretty set in their feelings or their ways about the article or about their, whatever is happening, that basically you're working yourself up for nothing.
Yeah. Well, I would say that we don't like these opinions that everybody's just blasting out there. They're not going through these Facebook feeds to find people who want to have an open view to have their views challenged. They just want to say their views and exert them on other people, but they're not out there trying to gather knowledge to make sure that they have the whole story correct and their opinions and stuff. I don't think that that's their intent at all. So really, you're just trying to enforce your ideologies on them, and they're just trying to force theirs on you, and then nothing ever happens.
And I fall into that trap all the time, because I definitely, I'm very bullheaded, and if I feel something's wrong, I have a hard time not saying, hey, that's wrong, or here's why that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say there's a lot of situations that I struggle with, someone bringing information to me that could sway, my opinions or my feelings towards the subject, to where a lot of times, like I said, I get emotionally invested to it, to where it doesn't matter, whatever blessings God's doing for me, at that moment of the time, I'm focused on, upset or angry or feeling some certain way about a topic that, doesn't really have anything to do with what God has put me in control of being able to control. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I actually kind of got, I said I don't have any social media and don't do any of that stuff, but I do a lot of my research and stuff through YouTube when I study the Bible and stuff. And one of the pages that I follow is this page called Cross Examined. It's Dr. Frank Turek. He's a debater. He does apologetics, which is the Christian study of proving it's an area of Christianity. It's a type of study where you prove Christianity's true, and so it's ties back to First or Second Peter when Peter says, make sure you have a defense for your faith, to have a reason for your hope. And so they've taken that and they study the scriptures and they compare it to other worldviews and stuff. And so he had made a post on his YouTube page, and I seen some atheists had posted on there, and I got a little fired up because I was like, they're speaking lies, like if Christianity's true, then this other stuff is false. And so, I was trying to point out their falsehoods, but you can't argue with somebody who doesn't, so I would keep saying, I would disprove what he would say, and he would just move on to the next topic. Yeah. So instead of being like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong about that, he'd just move on to the next attack. And then, so it just would have been this endless cycle of me disproving his false worldview. And, but it was kind of fun, but I don't do it all the time. I was once and twice in the last 2 years I've done that.
Yeah.
But,
I struggle with being a troll. I'll get on Facebook and I'll find people who just bully other people, and I'll get on there and I'll troll them. And, I'll ask them questions like, that's a really good point. Where'd you get that point from? I mean, how did you get that point? Mm-hmm. And you find that their points are all driven by something else. So
there's no facts.
Yeah, there's no facts. It's all feeling based. And so what I do is I troll bullies. I don't care if it's left-leaning bullies, right-leaning bullies. It doesn't matter. I don't believe that anybody should be a bully about how people feel, and that's why the world's in where we're at. Of course, me trolling them doesn't help the world either. So, but I had to really.
Well, no, you stopped. You said it was right when the coronavirus was starting to get hot and heavy. Everybody was going crazy. You said that you stopped. You couldn't take it no more because you were just getting way too worked up.
I was getting really worked up. Exactly right. And so I had to stop getting on there for a couple of reasons. Not only was I getting worked up, but I could see that people were, there was more to people's how they were doing and, what they were basing things on. Their stress was higher. Their problems were bigger. Even though they didn't know where to take the problems to, they were just bigger, and I didn't want to be the reason for them to go over the edge. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I found myself backtracking some people and going in, hey, brother, just want to see how you're doing, just want to let you know I care about you. John, trying to do that stuff because, I do feel bad. I don't ever want to, intentionally hurt someone, mm-hmm. But we all have feelings, and we all have, I'm a warrior, and I believe that, if someone insults my God, I want to go to war about that, mm-hmm. And I want to stay there until I wear that person out, mm-hmm. and they understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
But if I tell someone, and I pull up the Bible and I say, listen, I'm going to prove to you that God exists by using this Bible. Mm-hmm. If an atheist says, I don't believe in that thing, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to start talking about what God's done in your life, and then you have to live that life.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we as Christians lose ground, because we're not willing to show an example. When I'm in a bad mood and I go to work, I do everything I can to try to feel good. So when I come in, people can say, okay, I feel good around him. And then eventually what I hope happens is people start asking questions and people start saying, okay, God is making him this way. So I can live that example. It doesn't have to be all those holes in my suit because I'm making it to all the Sunday schools, all that. What I want to be the example. I want to live the life. I want them to see me and see Jesus in me. And when I'm out trolling people and, because they're bullies, being a bully to them, or not being a bully to them, but questioning them and stirring them because they're bullies doesn't make me a better person. Mm-hmm. in fact, it's not what God calls us to do.
Yeah.
And so that is where really, I tell you, I've had more peace in myself when I stopped doing that.
Yeah.
I looked at myself as, the Facebook guy with leotards and a cape, and but nobody had to see me, and say nobody had to go through those nightmares, So, but at the same time, in my mind, I'm saying, well, I'm doing this because it was the right thing to do, but it's not the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It never is the right thing to do.
If you're not doing it for love or doing it in the areas that God wants you to do it. Most of the time, I know, at least me personally, when I'm doing those behaviors, at the end of it, I'm feeling, I sometimes, I'm hateful, I'm angry. And if you're hateful and angry, you're not doing it out of love at that point.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I think to the point that you were trying to make about being an example, I just kind of wanted to summarize one of the pastors that I listened to. He said something that I hopefully won't ever forget, but he says that you, the Christian, are the only Bible that some people will ever read.
That's right.
You're the Bible. Your life is the Bible. Some people won't ever. This book is too daunting for some people. Some people don't even want to look at it. They don't want nothing to do with it. There's all of these false just ideas surrounding Christianity that they're too scared to even open it up. But they can see you. They can see how you treat other people. They can see you having peace. They can see your desire to love God. They can see those things. You're the Bible that they're going to read.
Well, it's because people open the Bible like we open up bills. We open up bills we know we owe, and we don't know how much electric we used that month or that last month, and we're getting this bill, and we don't want to open the bill up because we don't want to see how much money is taken out of our check, or we owe something, or maybe we're behind on a payment, and there's someone trying to call us, and we don't want to call them because we don't want to be faced with somebody telling us that we owe them anything. And people open up the Bible like that. Instead of saying that the Bible has the answers, instead of thinking the Bible is all about love and correction, we're afraid to open the Bible because it's going to point out some uncomfortable things in our lives.
Yeah, it's the same argument a lot of people use. It's the same reason that criminals don't like the cops. The criminals don't like the cops. They don't like the judge. They don't want their deeds to be exposed. The same thing when people don't want their what it says, their deeds done in the darkness to be exposed.
Yeah.
And so they harden their hearts and stay in the dark because they don't want their deeds to be exposed. And the same thing, is that what you're talking about with the bills, right?
Exactly right. Yeah. And so we'd say, I got to stop saying exactly right. I've listened to podcasts. I say that a lot.
I never noticed that one.
Yeah, exactly right. You haven't noticed.
The only one I pointed out was check it out.
Well, check that out, huh?
Just check it
I
out.
haven't done it once yet.
I don't. I'm really glad.
I've been working on that. But
I say I'm like 800 times, so.
And you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Check that out, huh?
Yeah. What do you say, Cody?
He says, I was going to say.
Yep.
He does that a lot. He starts out I was going to say, well, I know you were going to say it because you're saying it.
And you're welcome.
Well, thank you.
We never went to podcast school.
No.
We don't have our bachelor's in podcasting yet.
No, we don't. We are not doctors in podcasting, but we play doctors in podcasting on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but my mom told me to get off the TV. I was way too heavy. But anyway, so
I don't know. Your TV downstairs is pretty big. It might be able to support you.
Yeah, we could all three get on that TV. Maybe that's where we need to get our next podcast picture.
Sit on the TV.
On top of the TV.
Mm.
Okay, so yeah.
You wanted to read a scripture.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we got off track quick.
Who are you? He said, "Let it flow."
Yeah, I did.
Not to be confused with "Let it go."
Yeah,
but he said, "Let it." We're gonna let it flow today.
We're gonna let it flow. But it is amazing how as Christians we struggle with the same problems anybody else does.
Yeah.
Some people they become a Christian and they say, "Oh, wow, ever since I've been a Christian, it's been nothing but trouble for me." So this life sucks. So, but the whole point is that you got to understand that if you're doing what God wants you to do, who's going to work against you? The enemy, right?
Yep.
So we have to understand that. We have to understand that there's a time when we have to when we have to accept that there's going to be forces working against us when we're trying to do the right thing. So I want to read in Matthew 14. Jesus feeds the 5,000. He goes out and deals with the loaf, with the bread and the fish, and try not to be try to have to remember stuff. And so after he feeds them, he sends his disciples out on a boat. He says, "You guys go on a boat and go ahead out." And he dismisses the crowd, and he goes on the mountainside, and it says he prays. And so then he comes out in a boat later on, and goes through the whole thing. And he gets scared. Oh, then it goes on, and so you have a little bit. He goes on. And so it says, "I take courage. It is
That's the worst paraphrase
don't be
ever.
afraid." Yada yada yada. And so anyway, starting in 29, there you go.
We got there.
Yeah. Whew, man, that was a long one. It was like dragging a truck, I'm telling you. So, but let's start with 28. 28, Peter says, "Lord, if it's you, tell me to come out to you on the water." And so Jesus says, "Come." And then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. And he says, "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" So when what we're talking about is the wind and the storm and the waves around us, and we get fear, and maybe it's not, "Oh, I'm going to sink in the water," but it's like, I don't know if I can handle this. So we start getting angry, or we start getting frustrated, or we start getting scared, or whatever the case is. And then we turn our eyes off of God when things start happening to us, and then that's when things start happening. When we start noticing things around us. And so when we're talking before the podcast started, we're talking about how we got the elections coming up, we've got this COVID-19. They're saying it's spiking again. We got all these things. I was sharing with you that there's a lot of military guys. That I'm connected with, and from the old units, old ships, and things like that. That they're taking their lives. They're losing things in their lives, and they're just taking their lives because it's just too much for them. And so it makes it hard. It makes it hard sometimes to just stay happy. It makes it hard to stay positive. But what we have to do is we have to have the faith. Jesus says, "Ye of little faith, why do you doubt?" But we need to understand. We know that Jesus is going to take care of us. We know at the end of the chapter, if we read the last page, he wins. We know all this stuff, but yet we still struggle with these storms around us. And so what I want to talk about, just the last part of this podcast, is talk about about how when we are sinking, how Jesus is always there. And I love it says immediately Jesus reached out his hands and caught him. It didn't say Jesus came over, reached his hand out. It didn't say Jesus gave it some thought. You know what I'm saying? Jesus got to the boat, put his stuff down, didn't want. It says he immediately. And so those are the things that we need to focus on, and we need to understand that if we see waves around us, we can either sink, or we can know that Jesus is there, that if we need him, he's going to immediately be there. So we don't need to sink. We can call on him before we start sinking, because he's going to be there. Does that make sense?
Even in the passage, it says that he reaches out to grab him, does it not? And that's the big thing. When you're going through the storm, the best way through it is reaching out to God, reaching out and letting him, keeping your focus on, what God's doing for you. I know at Mohegan, one thing that, we taught the boys is if you only focus on the negative, that's all you're going to see.
Yeah.
But if you can try to find some positive things that's happening around you and, focus on that, your problems tend to work themselves out, and issues that you've seen as big problems at the end of the day, once you lay your head down, they're in the past. They're not something that's just consistently happening that, you find out it wasn't worth, having my focus or getting upset about that. That when you focus on the positive thing God's doing in your life, there's a lot more blessings than there is negative around you if you focus on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that for me personally, so I've had all this, we talked about all the stuff I was going on before we started the podcast, but yeah, a lot of stuff just falling apart all around me. And, something that I listened to last night, my pastor, Steve Lawson, one of the pastors I listened to, he said, when Satan asked God to test Job, it wasn't because Job was doing anything wrong, but it was because Job was doing everything right. So I had to ask myself, am I doing stuff that's wrong and I need to repent of it and I'm suffering the consequences of unrepentant sin that I have? Or am I doing things right? And is that why Satan is just, sifting me? Jesus says that Satan had asked to sift Peter, and Peter was the one on the water. So I had to take a look. Was it earlier this week? And I was like, is there, I'm going through my Bible and I'm like, is there any, is there things that I need to be doing that I'm not? Is there sin that I need to repent of? And I kind of went through and found two little things that I do. I'll share them. It's nothing, super serious, but I have a issue speeding, which made to some people sound like, oh, that's not a big deal, whatever.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Heathen.
Yeah. So as the process of sanctification goes, as you grow closer to God, the sins that you need plucked seem less and less insignificant. Absolutely. But between me and God, that's an important that's an important sin between me and God. Although we as people put levels to it, it's probably not that important. But speeding, and then there was also I listened to Christian music only, but there were some subgenres. There were Christian artists, but I was being a little hypocritical of saying that some Christian artists have terrible theology. You shouldn't listen to their music whatsoever. But then I was turning around and I was listening to this other genre that they had terrible theology, but it was a type of music that I liked. And so I wanted to listen to it. So I deleted that off my phone this week. And I also made a habit this week of setting my cruise control, going to and from work. And, even though these little sins that were repented of, all the stuff around me didn't get fixed, and Job was like, here I am, I'm doing everything right. Why is all this stuff happening to me? And what you said, Cody, I listened to John MacArthur last night, and he said, how do we get through when there's just all this suffering and you don't know what's going on, you don't know the purpose for it, and we're not called to know the purpose. Job didn't know the purpose when he was being sifted. And John MacArthur said it's thankfulness. Give God thankful praise for what he's done. Like you said, give God praise. And so that's what I made it my goal in prayer and in worship this week to give God praise, because the Bible said the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. The things that God's given you, you don't deserve those. You're not entitled to those things. So, if God decides that he's going to take those things back, he can take them back. So I give God praise this week. I worship God with thankfulness, and I'll just be patient.
Yeah, and you're right. You're absolutely right. Not correct, because I was saying you're correct. But you are right in a lot of areas there. What we do is we take we take the sins and we say, okay, speeding, that's kind of silly, so I'm going to keep doing that because that's not really,
Yeah.
So we make determination out of what we believe and our feelings and out of our handbook, and we say this is not as bad, so I can go ahead and do that. This is kind of where I feel. I believe that God can work anywhere.
Yep.
I believe that you could be at the worst place on earth, and if it's God's will, you could come to Christ right there, and God could work in your life. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're in the middle of a satanic worship, and God wants to change you and move you. No different than He did with Saul, the guy who went out and persecuted, Christians. He took the guy that nobody would ever thought of, and then he sent him to he knocked him down, made him blind, and then he sent him to a guy's house, and the guy's like, wait a minute, you're what? Sending the guy who looks for Christians and takes a warrant out and sends them up to persecute them. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Why would God send him here? But God changed his heart. It doesn't matter where you're at in your life. It doesn't matter where you're at on this planet. God can change you. So I believe this. I believe that there are a lot of people that don't have the right theology. And I believe there's a lot of people that don't have the right thoughts in their head. I believe that there's things that people have been no different than our political system, no different than our Christianity systems, that are our religious systems that are out there, that people say, oh, if you're not a Catholic, you're this. Oh, if you're not a Christian, if you're not Buddha or whatever, whatever they decide they want to change or put you in there. I believe that God is able to change and love them through things. I believe that God can work in there. I heard this story, and now I heard it. When I heard it, it was told to me by a deacon, and said it was an actual true story, and it was of Assembly of God. And he said that this guy brought. I think it was him. He said he brought somebody to church, or he said a guy brought somebody. Anyway, somebody brought somebody to church, right? The guy says, I don't want to go to church. I want nothing to do with it. I don't believe in the speaking in tongues and all this stuff, And so he says, so he brought this guy to church, and so somebody, they were praying, and he got up and he just started making a fool of himself and started talking stupid, right? And he sat down, and somebody got up and interpreted it. And so he looked at the guy and he says, so so there you go. I just proved to you. I proved to you that this is fake. And he said, no, you didn't prove to me this was fake. He said, you proved to me that God can even work through an idiot like you. And so, sometimes we go through and we try to prove everybody wrong, but God can work through any situation. And we have to know that. It's no different than us saying, I can't convince you with this. I can't convince you with this. I can't convince you with this. I can't convince you with that. I can't convince you with nobody's seeing what I'm doing. We're on podcast. I can't convince you with my
I was just going to let you keep pointing and stuff.
I can't this hurts. But I can't convince you with the Bible. I can't convince you with writing things down. I can't convince you by telling. But what I can convince you with is showing you that my life is changed. My life, that I love God through it all. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. If things are going rough in my life, I want to keep a smile on my face. Am I always happy? No. Am I always got a smile on my face? Absolutely not. But I can tell you this, is that if God is in your life, and if you live what way God wants you to, whether you're speeding, whether you're whatever the situation is in your life, I believe that if you work and you become a Christian, if you become Christ-like, you do everything that you want to be every day more and more like Christ, I believe you can change people's hearts by then. Then you open the dialogue. Man, we need to talk. Why do you always have a smile on your face? Because this is always happening. Why do you always joke around? Why do you always, because it just seems like it's always this way, but it's never this way. And then you can have a dialogue. Well, let me tell you what happened. Back a few years ago, I met Jesus. And when I met Jesus, he changed. And then you could get into that dialogue. Or you can just go and ask him about you. Well, what are you doing? What's going on with you? Why are you so unhappy? And there you can change people's hearts. You open the dialogue by your living. Wow, I just went on a ramble, didn't I? But I think that's going to be really important for us to understand is that it doesn't matter what other people are living around us. What matters is how we're living around them. What are we doing in our lives to change their lives? Does that make sense? It's like me going to my wife and saying, hey, listen, before we were married, listen, you love me. You're going to marry me. It's done. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she marries me, and there's no real love there. I could tell her to do everything I want her to do, and she does it. If she doesn't, if it's not her choice, what good is it? I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm on that little hamster wheel is all I am. And so what I want to do is I want to change people's lives around me by saying, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I live. This, and so they see it. I open that dialogue and we go from there. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. And then our relationship with Christ with us is our relationship with Christ with us. That's between us and Christ. And we have to work on that. We know when we're lying to ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have any closing comments?
Why you got to close? Why we got to close? We got to close?
I'm not going to say I was going to say, but
you were going to say.
Just that, sometimes when you're going through the storm, God uses that storm to mold you and to help you grow. I know in the past I've talked a little bit about some of the stuff I went through, with issues with my wife, things like that, After we went through the storm, I became a better husband. I became a better Christian. He drew me closer to him after going through the storm. So sometimes when you're going through the storm and you don't, you talked about how you don't know, you're trying to figure out why is all this stuff happening around me, Sometimes you just got to put faith in God that, God, you're going to grow me out of this. You're going to, I'm going to be the man you call me to be. And I'm glad to hear, you're looking at things that you can change to make yourself a better person.
Yeah. So I guess thank you for listening to us today.
I'm not done yet. I've got another 10 minutes to rant.
Oh,
I know, but you have things you got to do, right?
Yeah, busy day.
So we got half an hour still, right?
Okay, so this would be a little different. I'm just gonna up and shut my mic off, and you guys just finish up.
He just stormed out. He speeded too.
I gotta get going, so I don't have to speed.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I think he just threw his sin on us. Casting monkeys, I think is what he just did.
Yeah.
Well, just real quick on what you're talking about. It says in James 1, verse 2, it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kind, because you know that the testings of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." So it's important that we go through that. Diamonds are precious because they're pressed, because they're put under pressure, constant pressure. Refined by the fire means that things are put in a fire for so long. I mean, I talked to somebody, it wasn't, maybe it was last week before, about how the potter and the potter's clay, right? So is it 4 o'clock yet? Okay, good. The potter, I'm getting this evil look by Cody. Cody, I'm just kidding.
I'm being patient.
That's fine. That's fine. But there's a time that God is a potter and we are the clay, right? So He molds us into what He wants us to be, right? And then He puts us on the shelf. We don't come off that shelf. We don't come out of that baking oven until we are ready, right? Because if we come out before we're ready, what's going to happen? We're going to just We're going to crabble. We're going to crabble, and you don't want to crabble, buddy. That hurts. That's rough. I crabbled once and had to change my pants.
That's a totally different meaning than what crabble on the shelf was.
Oh, okay, yeah, crabble. Yeah, you crumble, you crumble,
or crack,
crumble or crack, you crack. Like Cody Ross over here, crack. Frosted.
Yeah, so I want to let you guys know. So if you have any topics for us, just send them to Serve with Purpose 3, and this has been God Talk No Time and
Serve with Purpose 3.
We'd love to hear your topics.
So anyway, anything other than what I pick, right? I got you. No, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I'm going to cry in a few. Guys, this has been fun.
Yeah, we did have a good time.
We wanted to push this into a more of a flow, which is what everything we do here is all flow. Now, next week we will have another guest. We got an up and coming author. Who's going to talk a little bit about trauma and just how things are going on in her life. She works with a lot of people and helps people through trauma, especially in the times that we're going through today. So I'm looking forward to next week. Now, I do want to say that you guys are like awesome. Out of everybody that I know, you guys are two of them. Just want to throw that out there.
You know a lot of people. You really do.
It's three of us. I just know three. You guys and my wife.
Oh. Well, what about your mom?
Who's that?
After his extent about their hair and voices, I was shocked he could count to 2.
Yeah. He's in a much better mood now. He's got his cup of coffee.
I do, and I am ready for some more.
There it is.
So listen, guys. So I just want to say real quick here that if you do have a topic, let me give you the full email address. You could go with servewithpurpose3@gmail.com. That's servewithpurpose, the number 3 @gmail.com. Get a hold of us there. You can also get on Facebook, social media that you know that Ross doesn't have, Cody Ross, and we can talk about Cody because he'll never know.
I never know.
I'll never know.
You guys can say all kinds of bad things about my voice.
I mean, we do. I mean, we don't. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. What's he talking about? No, but just get on Facebook, like us there, follow us. Guys, also look at the rest of the check out the rest of the episodes. It's really important that not only you guys check it out and listen to it. We want to know what we could do to reach out more to people. So we want you listeners to share this and let people know. And you can also find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple, and people are finding us on YouTube.
No, they're not.
Well, I did. I found, but I couldn't find. Well,
they're not finding us on YouTube.
How they pulling it up on YouTube then?
I don't know, but they're not finding it because I couldn't find it.
So anyway,
YouTube is my thing.
So they are actually finding us on YouTube. Apparently, you have to jump across it. So what happens is that there's some kind of a connection that certain people have on their channels that they follow. It brings them straight into the.
So are you saying like if they watch it on Apple or something, then Apple is actually sending them to YouTube?
I have no idea. I looked for ours, but I couldn't look for our last thing. I found everything but the last one from last week when you asked. But this is something we talk about after we get done here. Because I'm going to choke you. That's what I want to do. So I'll tell you right now. I'm just kidding. So
verbally abuse me, not on the open mic.
Anyway, so guys, please, share us. Just let us know what you guys think. If you guys have a topic.
If you guys are struggling through the storm, I was going to say there's 2 songs that I really, really recommend listening to. One of my favorites is from I Am They. It's called Scars. And another really good one's from Casting Crowns called Praise You in the Storm. Those are 2 of them that's really helped me when I was struggling.
All right.
Yep, thank you. Love you. Bye.
Wow, he is.
We love you too.
Yeah, we do. We love you. We love you. I'm going to start trolling. All right, so guys, we do appreciate you guys listening. You guys have an outstanding day. God bless, and